Hello and welcome. I'm Lena Horne. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating journey. It's an exploration of times and places in American history from a perspective that's little known and seldom shown. Along the way, you'll meet some truly astonishing people, many of whose ancestors were buried almost 30 feet down in the heart of New York's federal complex in Lower Manhattan. Discovery of that over 300-year-old African burial ground, the impact it's had, and what it really means to the history of this country is what this program is all about.
I told you in the beginning, it looked like everything that was said in the beginning, it looked like everybody's going to be in that draft in that burial ground, but Africans, my ancestors, our ancestors. And it hurts when I see people have to grovel to get their thing over. You know what I mean? It's sad.
What could trigger such emotion? What could make this elderly woman weep these tears in such a public place?
The Lord my soul has taken, and I'll be free to travel home.
The fate of these early African ancestors, the question of what's to become of them and their ancient African burial ground, whether this hallowed ground where they were found will truly be their final resting place. Who were they? How many free? How many slave? How were they laid out and why? And why are so many early African Americans buried in such a prime section of Lower Manhattan?
Black culture in Manhattan, or black history in Manhattan, begins at the tip of the island.
By 1644, Gracia Angola, Manuel de Rus, Peter Santomé, and the others had managed to gain ownership of lands they had already been farming, had petitioned and won partial freedom, and had time to work their own land when they weren't needed by the Dutch West India Company. Because family and community ties were so close, we can safely assume that those early African burials took place in an area near those families. Thus, this over 326-year-old burial ground evolved right where they lived and worked. Armed as best they could with hoes, knives, guns, swords, and axes, they set fire to a nearby outhouse and launched their desperate revolt. 13 blacks, free and enslaved, were burned at the stake. 18 were hanged, including Margaret Carey's lover, and 71 slaves were transported out of the colony. It is believed the executions all took place near the African burial ground, and that many of those put to death were buried there.
I am not going to be a party of your disrespecting what people here have testified, scholars have called, the most important archaeological discovery in this century. And with that having been said,
I will rise up then to greet my Maker, raise up to greet my Maker, for I am free to travel home. Yes, I am free to travel home. My soul is free to travel home.